thank you very much. Once again, we are here, Sophie, Peter, and myself, to have a little chat and talk using our own experience, our own wisdom. Yeah, because we are reaching that age, especially me, that we refer experience as wisdom. Okay, so you see I'm the one that has the gray hair, so
I got some too.
But I have much more, you know.
Name.
You're more wise than me then.
Yeah,
but my name means wisdom. Sophie means wisdom.
Of course. So. Yeah. That's why there are doctors in philosophy. Very good. So today we are going to talk about 9 ways to deal with FOMO. And actually, before we started, we were having a conversation that try to guess who is missing out of having COVID, because everybody on this group of 3 had COVID, so somebody is missing out. My theory is that COVID doesn't like that person enough. It's my theory. It's another medical theory going around. So, guys, 9 ways of dealing with FOMO, this fear of missing out. This word, this 21st century word. So, as always, we start with Sophie. Give us 1 way of dealing with this fear.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm, as most of us, I deal with FOMO regularly, and I've noticed that it comes. There is this trend with minimalism, living in a minimalistic way, and that's one way of dealing with the fear of missing out and comparing yourself with thousands of others. And like, you know, in the past, when we only knew the people we knew without having social media, we were not exposed to so many things that meant we were missing out as we are now. And now we are, daily we can see things that we are missing. And I sort of try to organize my life so that I won't get the temptation that often. So if I'm scaling away, you know, I only need one of that. I only need to do that once. I don't need to do it every day, every week, all the time. So I'm thinking of the minimalistic movement, and then it's easier to deal with my FOMO anxiety.
Okay, so let's go for minimalistic. Peter, what is your catch?
I think it's about having gratitude for what you have. So if you think about the origin of fear, it's a survival mechanism. And in earlier times, when there was a lack of resources, a lack of food, you know, whatever, then of course it was natural to, you know, try and grab what you could. And in the, you know, animal kingdom, you know, you'll grab something and eat as much as you can because you don't know when you'll get your next meal, kind of thing. And we now live in a society where we have an abundance of resources and there's food and all of that stuff. So the notion of scarcity, and it's an interesting word, scarcity, because you could break it into scare and city. You know, if it's like, it's about, oh, there's not enough to go around and I'm afraid. So what then happens is the whole advertising industry is built around making us unhappy with what we have so that we want more. And so the antidote to that is to have gratitude for what you have. Could it be better? Could you have more? Yes. But when is enough enough? And, you know, you see this with really, really wealthy people. You know, they've got, you know, they realize they've got the second biggest luxury yacht in the world. So they want the biggest luxury yacht in the world because it isn't good enough what they've got. So it's that mindset we have to get away from by having gratitude for what we have. And that's not to say you can't desire other things, but you start with a place of gratitude, and that is a great antidote for the fear of missing out.
Very good. Actually, my catch connects with yours, is that there is a lot of free things in life that we are not grateful for it.
Yeah.
There are simple things. And I think even during the pandemic, some people realized that, like, how nice is to do a nice walk. That is much better than pushing yourself to commute by car every single day, like a kind of human yo-yo. Okay, so gratitude for the simple and free things in life. And that is a kind of antidote, like you were saying. Sophie, your second.
So, there you can hear me. Okay. Now I'm joined by my colleague. Hey, I'm in the middle of a little hangout. Yeah. So I got.
So now you are the only one with a proper audience, like this kind of
I know
talk show that have an audience. So explain the rules that they have to clap and to laugh also.
Yeah, I'm going to make my point. I was going to sort of check into that thoughts about the pandemic, and I think like the pandemic has been a big education in teaching us the fear of missing out and that we might not miss that out. So during these 2 years, we have, stopped flying. We have stopped going to meetings. We have stopped going to the gym if it's not necessary. So I think it's been teaching us alternatives. I'm not sure if it actually was good or bad for our anxiety, but it's been a training that we need to sort of check in with ourselves what's necessary to do or what is not necessary to do. And well, I don't think that I would have been doing I think that I wouldn't have been flying during this period because of our little daughter. She wants to go on an airplane, but I don't think we would have done that. But we would have gone on some other like longer trips with our car or by boat. And we haven't done it, and we have been fine. But instead, we might have been like planning for shorter trips and smaller things. So the pandemic taught us a lot, or my family a lot, about the travel experience of not going that far away that often as we would have done before. So pandemic has been both good and bad, I would say.
Okay, Peter.
So my second one is don't take things at face value. So what I mean by that is don't assume that people who have the thing you're worried about missing out on are necessarily happier, healthier, or wealthier. And particularly when wealth is actually more than a number of black digits on a bank statement. I mean, wealth is much more than that. And I guess it goes back to the whole thing about gratitude, because, there are people who have less, but have so much gratitude for what they have that they're actually happier than the people who have the second biggest luxury yacht in the world and are unhappy because they don't have the biggest luxury yacht in the world. Don't assume that possession or that experience is actually going to make you happier, because many people who have that possession or have that experience actually aren't happy, even if they like to project that they are on social media. And I think we all know that. We know that from our own experience, when we might have something or be doing something that other people might be envious of, and we know that we're not necessarily happy. And I've known people who on the outside look like they have everything, but I know what's going on with them personally and they're not happy. So it's a bit pointless being envious or concerned that you're missing out on that thing. So yeah, don't take things at face value.
Thank you. My second one is a question. Ask yourself if you really need it before you get it. Because it's okay, this is like, okay, that's obvious. But there is one thing that that is known by traders around the world is impulse buying. Okay. You see something, you want it, and ask yourself several times why I need this, how I will use it. I always give this kind of example that we can find a lot of kitchens with a lot of appliances that are used once a year. And if we use the minimalistic approach that Sophie was telling about, it is interesting that a lot of simple things can do several things, but we are pushed to have a machine that does, do you know that movie Monty Python, from Monty Python, The Meaning of Life? There is a scene in a hospital, there is a machine that does
it goes ping.
Yes. So we need that machine that does ping, but what is for?
Yeah.
So ask yourself several times before you do it.
Yeah, my grandmother used to say, I know you want it, but do you really need it?
Yep. So Sophie, your last catch of the day.
Yeah. I actually have two things to say. I will start with a quick one. I've been practicing your advice, Philip, about think about really if you need it. And what I've done is that I have a spreadsheet in Google Spreadsheets where I write down everything that I would like to buy. And of course, I have a lot of, I need a lot of things. But anyway, I write down the things there and I let them stay there on the list for a while. And then after a while, if it's not that necessary, I may just sort of remove them. But a few things, they stay on the list for several weeks, maybe 2 months. And then I'm like, maybe I actually need this. And it sort of guided me a little bit. And it's also helped me to involve my partner, sometimes Magnus, in this sort of buying procedure, because he doesn't feel included if I'm just going off and buy things. And I also, if it's possible, I don't recommend anyone surfing around buying stuff late in the evening, because it's very easy to click. Stop doing that. That's a really bad habit.
Like going hungry to the supermarket.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Bored in the evening. It's not good. But also, like, I'm often quite tired around 3 o'clock in the afternoon and at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And if I'm going to an event in the evening, I often need a little push to remind myself, even though you're tired and you're going away somewhere tonight, it's worth going. So the fear of missing out is actually a good guide when it comes to my tiredness in the afternoon. So it makes me sort of collect my stuff and collect myself and push myself forward a little bit and go away. So the fear of missing out is not only bad for you. It can be good for someone who has this sort of tiredness dip like me, to go away and do things. And also when I'm going to the gym, I have, every now and then I have a membership on a gym with a nice sauna. So my fear of missing out the sauna is sort of a good push for me to actually go and do the exercise. So, you have two perspectives of it, and don't let the anxiety steer your life too much. That's my final word. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Sophie. Your last catch, Peter?
It's building on what's been said already, I think, but when you have that fear coming up, it's an opportunity to take a look inside yourself and ask yourself, what am I really worried about? Like, what's the real thing that I'm concerned about? Because there's an opportunity to look at your assumptions that you're making about who you are and what life is about. And perhaps those assumptions need challenging. How might you see things differently? If you still want that possession or that experience, is there another time or another place or another way of having something similar that could be as good or better? If you want something you've never had, then you've got to do something you've perhaps never done before, and that could be pushing you through your own anxiety, and it could be good for you. It could be a growth thing. But I'd say go for what, if you want something, you're afraid of missing out, and then go for it. Do the thinking first. Just check, what's really going on here? And it's a bit like, Sophie was talking about avoiding the impulse buying. Just step back and say, do I really want that? What's going on? Because if it's something inside you that needs to change, it's better to focus on changing that rather than having the possession or the experience that you think is going to make you feel better. And it'll end up being a lot cheaper. But if you want to go for it, go for it. That's fine.
Yeah, a lot of the fear of missing out has to do with self-esteem. Sometimes.
Yeah, that's right. And I think if we get that bit right, then suddenly our desire for possessions and experiences starts to diminish, because we go, I'm fine. I'm just fine. Thank you very much. Not good for, consumer, like stimulating the economy. And that's a whole other topic, isn't it, I guess? But, it could be argued that the fear of missing out, that sense of scarcity, the desire to acquire things and experiences is what powers the economy. But is there another way, and what cost is there? So, yeah. Anyway.
Once I heard that the mall experience is like work experience, but in another context, because you go there and you are demanded to do things in a certain way, and you basically are conditioned to buy things. You are a buyer, a professional buyer.
Yeah.
Okay. My last one is I like to think that I'm a bit of a tech geek, so I always try to buy things that will help me. So when this pandemic appeared, I was like well prepared in terms of microphones, in terms of cameras, everything, lights and everything, because I was doing it before. So for me, it was okay in that term. But I always used one thing in my mind about technology. I don't like to be a guinea pig. So I never buy the latest version of a mobile phone. I never buy the latest version of software. I never do it like that. Because there is always patches, there is always beta versions, there is always some issues with that. So, and also you pay a premium price because you are the first, you are the one that is waiting outside the Apple store like crazy with a sleeping bag and everything, and you cannot miss it. And basically you are being treated as a guinea pig, but a pay one. So it's like, imagine that you have a lab and the guinea pigs are paying you, please experiment on me. It's very strange. So if you put this in your head, you probably will be happier and you will have a little bit more money for sure.
That's a really good advice. Tested before. Thanks.
Yeah, it's simple. It's never go for the latest version, even though everybody's going like guinea pigs.
Sounds a bit like the vaccine to me.
Oh.
Everyone's queuing up. Test it on me.
Well, that is another conversation.
It is another conversation.
It's another type of conversation. So guys, thank you very much for your wisdom and your knowledge, my wisdom and your knowledge. And this has been another talk with Peter, Sophie, and Filipe. And we are like this. We meet and we learn with each other and we share with who wants to see and listen to us. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.